What's up? You knew I would come. If you question Darth Vader, you question me as a person. Only trolls speak in absolutes. I will do what I must. You will try. Oh my god! Whew. Hey, if you want to see the ultimate comparison between Darth Vader and Kylo Ren, stay tuned. Now before I get started talking about a galaxy far, far away, I gotta tell you about my incredible sponsor for this video. This Fruit Loop. I am incredibly blessed to have this Fruit Loop sponsor this video. Without this Fruit Loop, I wouldn't be able to do this video. I wouldn't be able to be here right now. And it's not even the actual company who owns Fruit Loop sponsoring this video, it's just this one green Fruit Loop. I'm telling you, please, you gotta get one of these Fruit Loops. Not only does it smell good, taste good, it can fit in your pocket, it's also a great holder for your crayons. Look at that. Let's get into the video. If you want to keep up to date with me and all my antics, hit that subscribe button, baby. So there seems to be an overall consensus on the internet and in the Star Wars community as a whole. Kylo Ren is a whiny, wimpy, emo, pretty boy, boo-boo baby. But is that really the case? Is he really this emotional pansy that everybody says he is? Or are we maybe so blinded by our love for Darth Vader in the original trilogy that we might not be giving him a fair shot? Would any villain be good enough to follow Darth Vader? Well, I think it would be really interesting to compare these two and really see which one of them is the better character. And a quick disclaimer, I will be taking in a lot of facts and information, but it will of course be processed and shaped by my mind. So with that out of the way, let's get into it, baby. I'm going to be looking at 4 different categories of comparison between the two. Their powers and fighting ability, presence and impact on the story, their character and motivations, and both of their redemption arcs. And after it's all said and done, we'll really see if Darth Vader is so much better than Kylo Ren. Now take into account that I'm only talking about the original trilogies that they each appeared in. Kylo got 3 movies, so it's only fair that I judge Vader off of 3 movies. No prequels, no Rogue One, no comics or extended lore. Kylo didn't get a whole trilogy to go into his backstory. So all of that doesn't pertain to this video. 3 movies versus 3 movies. I will now be taking my nostalgia goggles off. Well, actually, I kind of need these because I can't see. First, let's look at their powers and fighting ability. First off, Darth Vader. Old Darthy boy is known as the best pilot in the galaxy. He can sense people's presence and feel people's emotions through the Force. He is an excellent lightsaber fighter. He can block blaster shots with his bare hands, can use the Force to grab or throw objects, and he can of course choke people with ease, even choking a man through a screen. This guy is a textbook badass. He is very powerful and very in tune with the Force. But Kylo Ren is right there with him. He can do everything that Vader does, but more. He is also a skilled pilot. Not quite the best in the galaxy, but he's still very good. He can sense people's presence and feel their emotions, is a great lightsaber fighter, can block blaster shots, and push and pull objects with the Force. even flinging people with the flick of his wrist. But he can also freeze blaster shots in midair, freeze people in place, force torture somebody for information, read their memories, connect with Rey through the Force to the point where he can physically grab objects from the other side of the universe, and he can give his life energy through the Force. Kinda. I don't know, it was really stupid. His lightsaber also has a crossguard on it that he can use for offense or defense. Now I understand why Kylo is more powerful. You got a new villain in a new movie. They had to make him bigger and better. They had to increase his powers to make him better than Vader. But is he better than Vader? Who is actually the better fighter? Darth Vader fought the great Obi-Wan Kenobi to a standstill and only beat him when Obi-Wan gave himself up to the Force. Yes, this fight looks really silly and stiff and it hasn't really aged well, but I'll take into account when these movies were made and the restrictions they had in 1977. We have much more advanced special effects and choreography than we did back then, so as we saw in Rogue One, Darth Vader is absolutely amazing with today's filmmaking. That being said, Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the best known fighters in the Star Wars universe, and he held his own against him. Yeah, maybe Obi-Wan was getting kinda old and he did give up in the end, but Darth Vader was right there with him the whole time. He also kills Palpatine, but he wasn't really looking and it wasn't really a fight. Now yes, Finn does hold his own against Kylo for a couple minutes, and Kylo does lose to Rey the first time she's ever held a lightsaber. But not only was he injured by Chewbacca's blaster shot, but we later come to find out that Finn is Force sensitive, and Rey is naturally great at everything she tries, and she ends up being the most powerful character in Star Wars history. So I'll give him a bit of a pass on that one. Plus, Kylo Ren wasn't even fully done with his training at this point. Vader was already a full-on Sith Master when he first faced Luke, and even though he did beat him, he struggled for a little bit of the fight. But you could say that Vader's inner conflict made it to where he wasn't really trying his hardest, so there is nuance to these fights. We don't ever really get to see Vader take on multiple enemies at once, but Kylo takes on multiple Praetorian guards, even though he does struggle, and it's ridiculous that he doesn't use the Force one time. He destroys the useless Knights of Ren, and we see him slaughter multiple aliens in the beginning of Rise of Skywalker. Plus, Kylo does finally beat Rey in their final fight when he's at his best. He does get stabbed, but only after he hears Leia's voice and stops fighting. This is a close call. Kylo is slightly more powerful and has more fight scenes, but Darth Vader's fight scenes are more meaningful to the story. Vader is very thoughtful and methodical when he fights, while Kylo is more emotional and animalistic in his stances and attacks. But I also have to remember that Kylo Ren was never fully dedicated to the dark side or the light side, so he never really harnessed his true potential. Who knows how powerful he would have been if he would have chosen full Sith or full Jedi. I'm not judging who would win between them in a one-on-one fight, I'm just judging them in their movies. I gotta say, side by side, even if some of the fights don't really make sense and they're kinda stupid, Kylo Ren wins this round. I will say though, Darth Vader's scene in Rogue One is definitely the coolest thing in any Star Wars film. What? Now, onto their presence and impact on the story. Let's look at both of their introduction scenes. Darth Vader emerges from behind his stormtrooper soldiers in a thick wave of smoke, and immediately grabs the attention and respect of everybody in the room and everybody watching the movie. His voice is deep and booming, he's ominous, he's huge, he has a great design, and when he picks up and chokes the man with one hand, we immediately know what the threat of the movie is. Kylo Ren basically copies that introduction, but does it worse. He also emerges from behind his stormtroopers and interrogates somebody for information. He is also wearing all black and has a deep voice, but he's not as intimidating and it does admittedly feel like a ripoff. But his lightsaber's cooler. Even though Vader doesn't physically do much for the first 2 acts of A New Hope, the allure of his backstory and his presence makes us fear for the main characters. We don't even see that he has a lightsaber until halfway through the movie. Kylo Ren shows his lightsaber immediately to let you know that he's cool. There are just too many details given about Kylo in his first scene, and there's not enough mystery. They show us his lightsaber, then they basically spoon feed it to us like we're babies that he used to be good and he's related to somebody that we know. He does make up for it though when he freezes the blaster shot in midair, murders the old man, and then orders the troopers to slaughter the rest of the village. Kylo Ren is more boots on the ground in his first movie. He travels to more planets and he interacts with the heroes multiple times. Vader, on the other hand, is basically just walking around a ship and talking for the first 2 acts. Until the final battle when he hops in his ship and starts to straight murder people. And in their second and third movies, Kylo Ren just really feels like he's thrown into the plot around Snoke and Palpatine. Vader feels more essential and connected to the plot. He helps drive the story and he constantly pushes the heroes. Now, Kylo is a little damp, but in The Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader is straight dripping with swag! He misses the beginning battle on Hoth, but he is responsible for the betrayal at Cloud City. He makes Han look like a straight bitch. And there's that incredibly iconic moment where it is revealed that he is Luke's father. He is constantly responsible for or is a part of why Luke and the gang are always in danger. I'm trying to judge this round without acknowledging how iconic Darth Vader is, but I just can't leave it out. He was the first big bad villain who wore all black. This was one of the first huge twists like this in blockbuster movies. His costume design is legendary. He is quotable, the voice and the breathing is so cool and iconic. And Kylo Ren just doesn't have the iconography that Darth Vader has. I really like Kylo Ren, but I can't really think of any memorable lines that he has. And he kinda just disappears in the plot in his second and third movies. Vader schools Luke, he schools Palpatine, but then Luke and Palpatine school Kylo and make him look like a damn fool. I'm just gonna stop this one right now. Darth Vader wins this round. Now on to their character and motivations. Now this round isn't even close. This is where I believe Kylo Ren exceeds the most and Darth Vader falters the most. Listen, Darth Vader is cool. Darth Vader is iconic. Darth Vader is... well, that's really it for most of his screen time. He is really cool and really iconic, but he has zero character for all 3 of his movies until the last 15 minutes of his last movie, which I will get to. He wants to get back the stolen plans to the Death Star. To the Death Star. Plans to the Death Star. Death Star. He wants to get back the stolen plans from the Death Star. Why? Because he's evil and wants to continue to be evil. He tries to stop the destruction of the Death Star. Why, you ask? Because he's evil and he doesn't want his evil ball destroyed. He freezes Han and tries to turn Luke to the dark side because he's evil. He just walks around, kneels to the Emperor, and talks about the dark side. He is so two-dimensional. He is bad guy who want to make good guy bad. Come on, he's so generic. We're told about his backstory and we see a glimpse of his burned head, but that's all we get. He has nothing to him as a character other than, I'm evil, so I'm gonna make Luke evil so we can be evil together. Now Kylo Ren might seem like a pretty boy crybaby on the surface, but he's a lot deeper than we give him credit for. Yes, he's also evil and kills people, but he's just trying to compensate for the fact that he'll never be as good as Darth Vader. He can't live up to it. He can't live up to the expectations of the dark side. Come on, we've all felt that at one point in life. Feeling like we aren't good enough for a parent or loved one or a specific group of people. He is supposed to be a Vader wannabe. He's afraid that he'll never be as good as his grandfather. Before The Force Awakens came out, everybody was debating who was under that mask. Why does he wear it? Is he scarred? Does he need it like Vader did? Nope. He's just a young man trying to be something he's not. I think people were so disappointed when his face was revealed because, he's just not that intimidating. He's just a regular guy, and I love that. How refreshing to have a regular person with relatable emotions as the villain of your movie. He isn't this perfectly refined machine of evil. He's unstable, he's emotional, he's relatable. When somebody he looks up to makes fun of his helmet, he destroys it. When he sees his father for the first time in years, he shows conflict and almost does the right thing. When he gets the chance to kill his own mother, he just can't do it. And when something doesn't go his way, yeah, he lashes out. When he is told that Rey escapes and he starts slashing that console, why do we call that a temper tantrum? Because he's young and good looking? How many of us punch a wall or throw something when we're angry? It happens. Be honest. If this was Darth Vader in this scene and he did the exact same thing, we would have loved it. We wouldn't have called it a temper tantrum. We would have said, ooh, it was so badass because it was Vader. But because Kylo Ren is doing it, he's throwing a baby fit. Vader literally chokes people every time he doesn't get what he wants. But we don't call him a temper tantrum throwing baby. We need to all get over the fact that Kylo Ren isn't what we wanted. No, he's not Vader. He isn't as cool or intimidating, but he's deeper and a more complex character. Vader only served to further Luke's character. Kylo's struggle with the light and the dark is far deeper than Vader's was. Luke keeps telling us and keeps telling Vader, I feel conflict in you, I feel conflict in you. But we don't even see a hint of that until the last 15 minutes of his last movie. Kylo struggles back and forth through the trilogy, and it's more relatable. In the great scene where he kills his own father, he shows vulnerability and then ruthlessness. He's unpredictable. And while James Earl Jones gives a really good performance as the voice of Darth Vader, Adam Driver gives an excellent performance as Kylo Ren. He brings a third dimension to the character that Darth Vader just doesn't have. Regardless of how good the movies actually are, Kylo Ren is a far better character than Darth Vader. You can deny it all you want, but you cannot watch these movies and tell me that Darth Vader is anything other than a walking tank who is cool and iconic. Yes, he's cool, he's iconic, he's cool, he's iconic, he's cool, he's iconic. I get it. He is not a good character. If you take away the nostalgia and how cool Darth Vader is, he is not a great character. Kylo Ren easily destroys Darth Vader in this round. On to the final round. The redemption arcs. This is the complete opposite of what I was just saying. Kylo Ren's redemption arc was trash. Garbage. A complete waste of time. The finale in a trilogy should move you, make you emotional, make you feel something. Kylo Ren in his third movie makes you feel none of that. Now, Adam Driver's performance was definitely the best part of that god-awful movie. But this is definitely Kylo Ren's worst movie. He's just a generic bad guy chasing the good guys for the first 2 acts of the movie. And after an admittedly decent scene with Han, where he has a different version of that earlier conversation, he throws his lightsaber away and is just good now. They established that he had conflict in the first 2 movies. He was just a boy ruined by the actions of his uncle. But then they went all in on him being bad at the end of The Last Jedi. He let the Resistance escape, and Luke made him look silly, giving him a great setup for his final movie. I was excited to see him motivated. I was excited to see how supreme leader Kylo Ren carries himself, how he runs things, but he really doesn't do anything. They didn't know what to do with him, so they just kept making him go back and forth, back and forth. I feel the light, no I'm bad. I feel the light, no I'm bad. Then, when they finally commit to him making the wrong choice and being fully bad, they just suddenly make him good again for the last act of the last movie. It is such a Darth Vader ripoff. I can't even defend it. I loved his struggle between the light and dark in the first 2 movies. But 3 movies in, they need to commit to a choice and stick with it. When he finally does become good, he wipes out a couple faceless guys, gets thrown into a crater, then sacrifices himself for the girl that he was trying to kill earlier that day. It was so rushed and so sloppy. The moment he became Ben Solo, all of his interesting and dynamic character traits were thrown away. When he finally gets to fight with a blue lightsaber, it's supposed to be this big and grand moment. But it just felt so empty. It felt rushed. The whole thing felt rushed. Just like how Vader was a plot device to further Luke's story, Kylo becomes a plot device to further Rey's story. He miraculously gives up his Force energy to Rey, even though it's never really been established in the movies before that somebody could do this, especially a dark side user. When Vader kills the Emperor, he saves the galaxy in the process. It was necessary to bring balance back to the Force. Everything was at stake when he did this. Rey had already defeated the Emperor and the galaxy was already saved. There were no stakes anymore. It was not a necessity for him to give up his life for her. He just did it to serve Rey's character. Then he just disappears into the Force like Luke and Obi-Wan did. Wait, what? Wait a second. He has been an evil, murdering scumbag for his whole adult life. And after he does one good thing, he gets to just fade away into the Force? I thought you had to earn that. The almighty and perfect Rey didn't even fade into the Force when she died. But Kylo did. Vader brought balance back to the Force, and he didn't disappear into it. This is because, sadly, in his 3rd movie, Kylo Ren was just a plot device. They just wrote him in to do whatever the plot needed in that moment. And oh my goodness, look how stupid he looks! They couldn't even bother to give him a cool outfit for his last 15 minutes of screen time? Why is he wearing a baggy black sweater from Target? Why does this incredibly powerful Force user get his ass beat by 6 guys with metal rods? They act like he can't fight without a lightsaber, but dude, you can freeze people in place and grab spaceships with your mind. Stop letting them hit you with their sticks. Oh my goodness, why is Ben Solo so freaking useless? This was no redemption arc, no. This was character assassination. Now on to Darth Vader. The last 15 minutes of Return of the Jedi really saves him as a character for me. Now I even think that his ending was also a tad bit forced, but it still works wonderfully. He was a cold, calculated murder monster for the entire trilogy. And when he sees his son on the ground writhing in pain on the brink of death, he finally does the right thing and chooses good over evil. He picks Sheath Palpatine up and chunks that mother down a shaft, saving the universe and bringing balance back to the Force. Well, not really, but in this movie Palpatine died, so that's what I'm going with. This should have felt forced, but it doesn't. It just feels right. It's really amazing how much emotion Vader shows in this scene, with no dialogue and his face covered with a mask. You can feel what is about to happen without him saying anything. And it is such a beautiful and touching moment when Luke takes Vader's helmet off and they really see each other for the first time.
Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes.
That line and that moment alone destroys anything that Kylo does in his 3rd movie. And then, after getting a nice little funeral from Luke, Anakin Skywalker, not Darth Vader, shows up as a Force ghost alongside Obi-Wan and Yoda, cementing his place in the Force and rewarding him for his sacrifice. Man, that's good. That's really good. Honestly, rewatching the original trilogy, Darth Vader wasn't that good of a character to me. He was cool and had a couple of great moments, but he was really on a path to just being another generic big bad villain. But his redemption totally saves him from being just that. It makes the whole experience worth it. You look back on these movies knowing what he's gonna do, and it just makes them better. It makes him better. You look back at Kylo Ren's arc, and it makes him worse. It makes you not want to watch any of those movies again. Darth Vader wins this round with an absolute knockout punch. So, let's look at where we are with everything. Kylo Ren has cooler powers and better fighting ability. Vader has a better presence and impact on the story. Kylo is a far better character, but Vader has a far better ending. As much as I hate to admit it as a Kylo Ren fan, it is better to end strong than to fade away into mediocrity. In the question of Darth Vader versus Kylo Ren, Darth Vader wins. Now, I will fight anybody tooth and nail that Kylo Ren is a great character and Darth Vader isn't, but I cannot ignore how impactful and iconic this man is. Is anybody really gonna remember Kylo Ren in 30 years? Will we be quoting him for decades to come? I don't think so. But Darth Vader will be remembered and loved forever. He is forever a cinematic icon. But please, accept Kylo for what he is, and maybe rewatch the new trilogy with an open mind. I think that you'll find, for the most part, he's a more compelling character than a lot of people give him credit for. No matter how you feel about him, he is easily the best part of the new trilogy, and I don't think he should be dismissed so easily. So what do you think? I want to hear your take on this in the comments. Don't be afraid to share your opinions because, hey, they're just opinions. Whatever you think, let's discuss it passionately, but peacefully. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and until next time, peace!